Hey, Paul here for Retro Gaming Arts, and I've had this Neogeo arcade cabinet for about a year, and it wasn't working for pretty much that entire year. So the whole purpose was I wanted to completely fully restore it and turn it into a YouTube video. But I haven't had the time to dedicate to just working on just this, so I've been fixing it like little by little, like something here, something there, something here, and now we're at the point where it's functioning. It's still got some odds and ends to it, some little problems, but it turns on, it works, you can play it. So now it's at the point where I'm gonna go in and fully do everything to it. So what I wanna do for this video is I'm gonna pull it out and I'm gonna show you everything that's been done so far. And then I'm going to also say like everything that I plan to do, just to kind of give an insight of this is what goes into, this is everything you gotta do if you're gonna restore an arcade cabinet. And I know it's really, really lame to be wearing a Neogeo shirt when I'm talking about my Neogeo cabinet, and I know that's lame and that's cliche, but I really wanted to do it, so I hope we're cool. I hope I don't come across that lame. All right, so this thing's really beat up, but I'm happy that it's finally working, so let's go take a look at it and look at actually what happened. All right, so this is normally where, obviously this is where the controls go. So this was bolted down to it. I pulled that off, and then this had 3 layers of really sticky stuff applied to it, where it was a layer of white, then it was a layer of red, then it was a layer of black. I peeled off all of them. I'm gonna sand this down. I've started to sand it, but I'm gonna continue to sand it, and then I'm gonna paint this entire thing black. So that's like halfway in the process, and then if you just completely take the entire thing off, you can see inside a little bit, and then all the controls and everything are in here. So that's a half work in progress kind of thing. So on the side, so typically on the Neogeo Goldie, this is one of Neogeo's original cabinets from the 90s before they came out with the Big Red, which is the more iconic one. The Big Red, it's the big red one. So the Goldie actually has this wood finish underneath it. Let's see if I can peel off. Sometimes when I was getting it to peel, you could see the wood finish underneath. So actually, like right here, we'll peel this one off. There we go, nice. So you see as I peel it off, the black paint comes right off, and then this finish right here, so that's exactly what the Neogeo Goldie was originally, and obviously whoever had this painted it black. So I'm gonna completely peel all of this off, sand the entire thing down, and I'm gonna get some sort of like wood finish, whether it be like a very thin layer that has this finish on it, or some vinyl, and then stick the wood grain finish vinyl to it. But none of that can happen until it gets bondoed. Because as you see right here, there's like a little dent, a little crack. So this T-molding, which goes all the way along the entire edge, I'm gonna remove all of that, put new T-molding on it. But after I remove the T-molding, and while I'm sanding this, I'm gonna add Bondo into all these cracks and then make it flat, make the entire thing, like all the chips. This isn't the only one, this is just like a good example right here. They're all over all the corners of it. So I'm gonna fill each one with Bondo, and then after each one's filled with Bondo, sand it down, and that's when you sand the entire side, and then that's when you can add the new vinyl or the wood, whatever I decide to put on the side to give it that nice original wood grain. That needs to be done next. I just realized I didn't have to actually peel off the paint to show you that this is the wood grain, because this is it right here. And that's what I'm gonna have to replace. And then also this hole, that like when this whole thing gets stripped down, sanded and all that, this entire hole is gonna get bondoed. These lights, like typically there's lights right in here that light up. We're gonna probably pull those out, clean it, keep the original ones. And there's these little bulbs on the inside, and these little bulbs, they don't work, so I'm gonna have to replace those in some way or another. Maybe throw some LEDs in there to just make it easy. I'm gonna have to get those to light up some way. But that's like the last thing. We got more holes, and actually you can see it's like an actual entire crack, like right in here. So this hole, just more Bondo over that entire thing. Down here, there's another hole, so that's gonna have to get Bondoed. So clean this all out. So this is a lot of the cosmetic stuff that I'm going to be doing, because now that the cabinet works, there's not much more to do to keep it working. One of the speakers is blown, so one of those speakers is going to have to get replaced. So this piece of acrylic is it's messed up. I'm gonna just probably get a brand new, fresh piece of acrylic to place over the edge. But right in here, where the actual monitor, you hear that blown speaker? Where the actual monitor is, typically, there was this piece of cardboard that went all the way around, and that's called the bezel. And that's what gives it like the nice look. And the bezel for this one was all waterlogged and warped, and it was all messed up, so I just threw it away. I'm gonna get some black poster board, and I'm gonna cut and measure, and I'm gonna create my own bezel that goes in all the way around to give it that nice clean finish look. Like I said, a lot of this is cosmetic. This isn't even honestly screwed in. There's some very minimal problems with this tube still, where I feel that these colors aren't exactly perfect, and I don't know how well you can see it on the screen from the camera, but there's some bleeding that goes on. Now, hopefully it gives me a screen where you can see some of the bleeding. It usually happens with some of the blues. I've spent a lot of time adjusting the red, green, and blue dials, the brightness, the phase, the contrast. You see the bleeding? So there we go. And to try to get as good as possible. And I feel it's almost there. I have capacitors for this specific monitor. This is a Wells Gardner K7000. So I actually have the cap kit for that, so I'm probably gonna throw that in at some time. For functioning wise, I'm gonna throw a cap kit on this, see if that helps, because all the dials, they're turned all the way up to get it to look. If I turn it down any way, the colors, they become very, very bland. So we're gonna throw a cap kit in there, see how that does, and then we'll go from there. So here we have a nice look at the inside. I'm actually gonna pull it out, and then we're gonna go inside and look a little bit better. All right, so here's inside. We have our power supply, which is hooked up very, very jankily for whatever. You got the transformers. Then we have, this is the MVS 1 slot with a bootleg King of Fighters 2001. You know what, I should take that apart. I did take it apart and post pictures of the inside on Facebook. It's really funny to see the inside of a bootleg cartridge from 2000. Then I also have my IGS PGM in here. If you want to see a video about that, let me know in the comments, because that's a really cool piece of hardware. And as you see, all the controller, all the buttons and all the joysticks is just sort of thrown in there because I don't have the control panel finished yet. Got the speakers. So when I first got this thing, none of it was hooked up, and I couldn't figure out. I actually had to ask a friend who had a Goldie, and he walked me through all the different wiring, because I didn't know how to wire any of this up. And then I got it all wired up, tweaked the voltage on the power supply a little bit. There's a little dial, and then it worked. So all these wires that were going to the power supply, they were all hacked up and they were all cut, so I didn't know what was what. And it was really difficult to figure out, never working on like an arcade cabinet like this before. So I'm very happy I got it working. And then once I finally got it turned on, the actual board wasn't working. The actual board wasn't working because that battery right there was dead, and there was a couple jump traces, and then there was the battery that was there previously. What it did was it corroded, and can't really show you too well, but it corroded a crystal oscillator that's right next to it. And then there was also some capacitors, and they all pretty much were dead, so I had to replace all of those components to even get this board to function. And it was getting stuck on a green screen, and I looked it up, and it was a calendar issue, and the calendar issue was created by the oscillator being dead. So I replaced the oscillator, replaced the battery, and now this board works, and it works flawlessly. Works every time I fire it up. I'm very, very happy. I think it's pretty loud. It's pretty awesome, even though one of the speakers is blown. And then these are all the dials that I was talking about, where I was trying to get everything working really well. And pretty much they're all tweaked pretty heavily. So I'm thinking if I replace the capacitors, I don't have to tweak them all the way up to get it working again. to get it to be working very well. So that's my Neogeo Goldie. That's an update on a project that I never mentioned on YouTube that was going to be a YouTube project that didn't, but it is now. Yeah. So, like I said, it's pretty much just a lot of cosmetic work. Replace the T-molding, sand the whole thing down, bondo a lot of aspects of it, fix a little odds and ends like the blown speaker, recap this monitor, recap the monitor, adjust the dials, see if that fixes it, make a bezel, new piece of acrylic, sand the control panel, paint it black, and I think that's it. I think that's all that needs to be done now on. And what I had done was figured out how to wire it up. I'm gonna rewire it because now it's just wired just to kind of like make, like, just to get it working. So I'm gonna rewire it and do it a little bit more properly. Might even buy like a new power supply because that one's really, it's like a little rusted and a little stripped. So I probably might even buy a new power supply. Fix the arcade board where the oscillator and all that. I'm just repeating everything that I've already said in the video for no reason. But it's like, I want to know. Like, I want to know what I've already done and what I need to do. And if I continue to like tell myself that, like what I need to do, like it helps me to just go and do it because it's fresh in my mind. So that's what needs to be done. I'm thinking the next video about this is literally just going to be me doing like all of that. So something a little different, do some arcade work. And thank you guys very, very much for watching. Thank you for all the really positive things everybody said about my last video. That was really, really awesome. It meant a lot. So thank you very much, and I'll see you guys next time.